Okay guys, welcome back to another Q&A. Thanks for all the positive feedback on the last ones. It's really great having this communication with you guys, as I say every time. Really like the idea that, yeah, you know I'm listening to you and paying attention to your comments. Really want to put as much time in as I can for you guys in this channel. I think the Q&A is a great way of doing that. So if you've got any questions that are in your mind right now, or maybe after this Q&A right now, pop them down in the comments below, guys. I try and get back to as many as I can. Let's crack to it. So the first question, is it worth doing a VO2 Max test in your opinion to have accurate heart rate zones for training? If you have the ability, if you have a fitness lab nearby where you can get tested, you might enjoy that process. It might give you a good insight into the scientific basis of your fitness and where you're at. It's a good indicator of where your fitness potential lies. Gives you some sort of indication of what you can really achieve within your running and your abilities. Do I think it's necessary to get accurate heart rate feedback? It could be beneficial, but in the long run, I don't think it's 100% the best way to go about it, or it's not exactly necessary in terms of getting your best performance. I would say the most important thing to do with your running, with your training, is to listen to your body, listen to those zones, listen to how your body is talking to you. Heart rate is a great indicator, but it does fluctuate out now and again, and it's affected by so many different variables, whether it be heat, humidity, hydration, whether you've eaten a big meal. So it is a good, helpful indicator within training, but definitely important to become intuitive with yourself and really find your limits on your own. So I would definitely recommend testing yourself in regards to with your training at a varied number of paces, at very different intensities, and that will give you a better idea of what you can achieve in a maximal setting, and then obviously across the different race paces and everything else along the way. The next two questions, a few people asked about how I would warm up for a race, so whether it's a 5k, a 10k or a marathon. So leading into any race, I always try and go through the same routine that I would do within one of my harder sessions within training. For me, that would be anywhere between 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes of just very light, easy running, starting at a very slow pace, maybe a little bit of walking to start with. And then I would follow that up with some dynamic stretching. So I recently talked about this. I will be making a video about this soon if you guys haven't checked that out. But doing a nice dynamic stretching routine to make sure that there is some great mobility and movement, that range of motion that you want to have a good full flowing stride is ready to go for race day, especially if you are going into a 5k or a 10k race and you're running at quite a high intensity, a high pace there. You want to make sure you're fully warmed up for that. Following that, I would then go into doing some stride outs, making sure that the race pace is feeling good, the legs are feeling ready, prepared, and making sure more than anything that everything in the body just feels comfortable, ready to go, and feeling, you know, fighting fit on that start line. I'm not kind of double guessing whether I'm warmed up enough. I have got a bad habit, which I probably developed in the track days when I was running 1500 meters, middle distance races, of maybe warming up a little bit too much before some events, where maybe you've got a lot more time to sink into it. So if you're running an ultra marathon or anything like that, of course, you know, it's important to make sure you've got your body moving, because some of those races can be really quick from the get-go, especially some of the European races there. But yeah, if you are doing these longer events and you're not going for world-class time as such, or going super hard from the gun, then you can afford just to have a lot easier of a warm-up, so you're obviously saving a little bit of your energy there. You're not overexerting yourself. Is treadmill running bad for the knees? So treadmill running gets a bit of a bad rap. Way I see it, if you enjoy running on the treadmill, then that's fantastic, but yes, you should be conscious the running stride is slightly different on the treadmill for a lot of people than it is for the outside world. And that comes down to a lot of different things, but depends on the treadmill as well. So if you're on a treadmill, some of them these days, some of the more modern ones are more suited to give you more of a natural experience that you would experience outside, whereas the kind of traditional treadmill has a belt on it. It's a lot softer impact, so you do actually kind of sink down almost into the treadmill and kind of spring back up again. So this is a different momentum, different movement than what your body will be used to in the outside world. So if you are new to treadmill running, you may be experiencing a few little niggles, a few little aches and pains, which maybe you don't normally get outside. But definitely, you know, there's nothing wrong in the long run as such running on a treadmill if you allow your body to adapt to it. Just like anything, any surface, your body needs some time to adapt to that process to make sure that it is happy and efficient at that running style. So if you are new to a treadmill, just take it easy for some first some of those first runs. Maybe this winter you're planning to do some of your training on the treadmill instead of maybe treacherous icy conditions if you're living somewhere really cold. You know, you can run on the treadmill, you can do some very hard sessions on a treadmill, or you can do some long runs. I think the hardest part of a treadmill all comes down to your mind and how long you can sit it out for. Okay, next question. How do I deal with blue and black toenails? So I don't want to get too graphic about this. As a trail runner, as a mountain runner, as an ultra runner, as any distance runner, you may experience some issues with blue, black toenails. I know that I certainly do. But yeah, you can definitely, in terms of dealing with them, I think the most important thing is obviously avoiding them altogether. So making sure that you've got the right size fit of shoe, making sure you've got plenty of space there in the toe box to avoid your toes bashing against the front of this shoe while you're running. I did make a video about the heel lock, with tying your shoes up to make sure your feet aren't slamming down into the front of your shoes. I'll probably link that around the screen somewhere right now. But making sure that you do tie your shoes correctly so that they are locked in nicely. And that doesn't mean over tightening them. It is important not to tie your shoes too tight, as that can cause issues itself. But making sure that they are locked in quite nicely. You've got a good fit. As I said, make sure you've got some space in your toe box. And then for the most part, you can avoid black toenails, blue toenails. For myself, the reason I suffer with them from time to time is from literally kicking rocks, running on technical terrain, and actually just bashing my feet around quite often. So if you do have them, then usually you just kind of have to be patient with the process. It might lead to your toenail falling off at some point in the future, but stay positive about it. Once it does come off, then you have a nice new fresh toenail to bruise up again at some point in the future, or not, hopefully. So the next question, this is the kind of question that I get all the time, whether it be a question or not as much a hate comment, but obviously as a runner, you want to be light, you want to be efficient, you want to be economical. So usually that means that a lot of runners, a lot of elite runners at least, aren't exactly the most stacked guys in terms of musculature up top. So the next question is, if I want to build muscles, overall body strength, how long should I run weekly? Is it possible to run a 5k sub 60 minutes while you are fit and big? So I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's a lot of big, fit, strong guys who can run that fast. It will be more difficult, obviously, if you're carrying more weight, with it being muscle. That can give you some extra kind of power, some explosiveness there. But for a distance event, for 5k, where obviously you need to have a very efficient aerobic system, if you are carrying around any extra weight, whether it be muscle or elsewhere, it is going to be a lot more difficult for you to get around that track as fast as you want to. So certainly there are some runners who are carrying some extra muscle and can still run some incredible times, but the likelihood is that most runners who are running some good fast paces are obviously looking to make it as easy as possible, and that doesn't mean that they're purposely trying to be these very small, lean runners, but that's just the way your body will adapt and evolve to become as efficient as it can for the distance itself. But if you are doing other events, maybe be ultra distance events, then you can get away with carrying a little bit of extra muscle there. Even though you are running for a lot longer period of time, it becomes more of that endurance as opposed to that just pure efficiency. Obviously though, to be the best runner that you can be in those events, you're looking to have some good muscle on your legs to absorb all that impact and everything else, but your upper body, anything you're carrying up there is kind of just extra weight a lot of the time as well. At the end of the day, if you are a serious runner, then I'm sure you're more interested in your PRs, your times, and whatever happens with that muscle, that is what it is. But if you are more worried about your aesthetics and you want to be looking like you've got a bit more of a stronger top, maybe you're doing some other sports where you might need that muscle, then that's fantastic, of course. But I know for myself, having done a lot of climbing in the past, when I started doing a little less climbing, lose a little bit of that upper body muscle, I did find that my running times felt a lot easier to achieve, and I did feel a bit stronger as a distance runner there. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that Q&A. As I've mentioned before, if your question didn't make the Q&A, it's maybe in the archive for me to make a full video on at some point in the future. If you like this video guys, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button, follow along. Lots of vlogs, lots of coaching videos on the way. Hope you enjoy these videos guys, hope you have some great adventure yourself. Thanks for watching and happy running.